Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah.
Yes.
I don't have my coffee. Brad don't have his phone.
Yeah. I got everything.
Fire drill around
I
here.
got my cup.
Forget that.
I got my phone.
Forget that. I want y'all to start with this. Oh, you were absolutely right about the Cavaliers. Everything you said on Monday was, or Tuesday, whatever that was spot on.
Hey,
you said exactly what was going to happen.
What?
Hey, you did say that.
Prediction.
You did say that.
About what?
The
Who, me or
Cavs
you?
won.
Or both? I was talking to Anthony. I wasn't listening. Sorry.
When he said start with
Can we do this over? Roll the music.
I was Nostradamus on the other day when we were all together. But Jason knows it was only one way to go. He only had one card to play.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he played it.
Yeah.
The question is, what card you going to play tomorrow?
Danny or Jetty has to start at the 3.
Well, that was given before.
Yeah, and I get why they stuck with Isaac.
Well, they want to kill his confidence. Well, you killed it anyway.
Like
he only played 2 minutes.
Right, but you gave him a chance in game 1 and you benched him for the fourth quarter. You gave him a chance in game 2 and you benched him for the last 45 minutes. You're out of chances.
I'm only telling you what I know. I was that dude. I was starting.
You was in that role.
We got into a heated battle with the Cavs. Friday night I was starting. I came in on Sunday and they said, "Hey,
totally different.
You're out." What do you mean I'm out? It's my fault now? I'm the weak link.
Did you know in layup line?
I didn't. Yeah, because when you see the scouting report, your name, I had to start. Who are you checking? I was like, what?
So that's like they give you a rundown. So they give you a straight rundown before the game,
and then
you looking for it.
Hold on. This is the other thing. This is how your teammates do you. All right. You okay?
You good?
Hang on in. We're going to be all right.
Hey,
it's all
man,
good.
hey, man, you know what I'm saying?
It's like a family member died. Here's some big beans.
Or it's like one of the family that you don't know. It's like a third cousin, and you didn't really know. You're like,
oh, man.
I'm just here because my dad, that's my dad's.
So, Isaac, you hang on in there. The one thing I did not know at the time that I found out later, every dog has his day.
Oh, it'll come back.
You're going to get another chance.
I don't know if it's going to be game 3.
I don't know if it's going to be game 3, but you stay ready.
Yeah.
Because when you get your chance, you make them eat it.
Well, you know, I don't know if I get a chance to
You
do
only
this
get
too
one
much.
chance now. I only get one more chance.
Well, I will say, we got a good show planned for you. Earl, you got 2 chances. You in the booth. You get your chance today. What you got? You'll make it work, or what happened? Y'all hired McNuggets
today. Yeah, McNuggets out of here, man. Me and Anthony said don't come back, stay in Texas, man. We'll take over. He made the mistake of training us up the proper way, and so now we can do his job without.
Anthony, he went down to Texas?
Yeah, Mikey did offer me 5-day-old fajitas as a gift, though, when he comes back. So maybe come back for that.
Anthony, Mikey going down to Texas. They crazy down in Texas. Y'all ain't been checking it? Texas off the chain.
Hey, listen.
Texas is not a place I'm visiting.
They just let. I'm cool. Like, listen, I might not be able to go to Florida. They just.
I'll go the wrong car. You get blasted. I'm not fooling with Texas right now. It's crazy.
It's
lawless.
Hey, I tell you what, man. Ohio ain't bad. We a little. But we ain't bad here, though.
We about to get this. We got some good stuff today.
What we got on the docket for today, Earl?
Before we get going, man, let's take Bulls Bet, man. As always, Bulls Bet is brought to you by Bet Rivers. Hey, Ohio, Bet Rivers Online Sportsbook is the place to be for every single game. Now is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportsbook. When you use deposit code SPORTS, you'll receive a second chance bet up to $500. Get in on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball and hockey to help you win big. Check out betrivers.com or download the BetRivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts.
Bulls Bet, he probably cheated and did. Oh, you did right, Bull. You got one. You supposed to be doing one. Cheater, you been getting 2. Go ahead.
So Bulls Bet today is he got the Mets at -1.5 runs at the Giants. I don't know what his updated standings is on his baseball bats, but I know Bull has been hot lately.
He's been doing his thing. He's been hot lately. He's been getting his two for the money off. So he's been out here moving around and shaking. And you know, Bull got the bullpen arm now, Jason.
What's it? Rubber?
He got the. Listen, Bull is playing with it. He coaching his little major league team, his own minor league team. He had the nerve to be in the chat, right? He was begging for relief pitchers.
And you wanted us to come in and step in.
Hey, man, I need y'all. Y'all cats, y'all ignore me in the chat.
In his defense, we haven't started yet for my son's team, and I throw batting practice every Sunday. I probably throw 500-600 pitches every Sunday.
Your arm is a rubber.
By the end of July, it's like I can't get it up past here by the end of July. It hurts so bad. So you can't go from 46 and Weekend Warrior to throwing 500 pitches every Sunday.
You stay in it. You keep doing that a couple of years. You're going to throw something out. You'll be looking at some surgery.
Hey, man, hey, listen, they'll be right over in swings and things. Hey, I'm not going to be out here throwing no – listen, I don't even cut my grass. Go ahead, man.
Man, look, man.
Jason, you're the baseball guy.
Yeah.
Is this a good bet?
I don't know who's pitching today. I should have asked you before we went on. Baseball betting to me is all about the pitching, who the starters are. But Bull's legit on
he a baseball guy.
Baseball. Yeah, he knows.
He's a baseball guy.
He says all the time, baseball is his best sport when it comes to betting. Like he's kind of throwing darts sometimes at basketball, but football or baseball, he's right on it.
He got like a beautiful mind. He got like some Russell Crowe. I see him. He got some spreadsheets and everything. He got the old spread, the MS-DOS paper. When you go from green to white,
the MS-DOS
to green,
paper.
them old ledgers. Like he got it. They handwritten. I said, "Bull."
These kids out here know what you talking about when you say MS-DOS.
Y'all know what it is.
Old people know.
Old people know flipping them floppy disks over. Well, let me tell you who do know something. Deshaun Watson, he knows something.
Absolutely. Let's set this up the right way. As always, when we talk about the Cleveland Browns, our Browns Talk is brought to you by Lincoln Electric. Lincoln Electric is now hiring for great jobs out there in Euclid, Ohio, right off the highway on the, what's that, Steve, 222nd exit? Can't miss it. Got a big windmill out there, great big old factory. They do a lot to help the community.
I'll be out there.
So Deshaun Watson spoke to the media, of course, at the beginning of voluntary workouts. And, you know, he was asked about the contract situation with Lamar Jackson. And he was asked his thoughts on Jalen Hurts now being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And we went through Mary Kay Cabot's article of Cleveland.com, and we found a couple quotes. So we're going to throw those at you all and get you all's reaction on what he had to say. Steve, let's start with the Lamar Jackson. I think it's 126. Or you can take tag board forward till we get it.
And here we go.
And bow. Highest paid players. Now look at this. $51 million for Jalen Hurts. Okay. Aaron Rodgers is at 50.3. Now this is kind of crazy. Then you get down to 46.0. That's where Deshaun Watson is. And the best quarterback in the game, Patrick Mahomes, is at 45. Guys, when you take a look at this thing, it seems as if like Deshaun Watson came back and everybody got paid. It's kind of crazy how much that guys are starting to get up in that era, in that level. But now the Deshaun Watson contract is small now. We ain't heard nobody talk about 230 in a minute because the other guys getting.
Well, it's not small, but you know, when I was at the owners' meetings a couple weeks ago, I was talking to some NFL people who felt like I'll take it back to Lamar. Mm-hmm. The Ravens missed their window. Like everyone is putting this on Lamar. But, like, the Ravens had opportunities earlier on to get something done with him before these numbers started escalating.
They didn't see it going that way.
And basically, the earlier you get in and the earlier you do this, the better the deal is going to look. And I would use the Josh Allen deal more than the Deshaun deal. The Josh Allen deal at the time, some people around the NFL were like, oh, my God, what are the Bills doing? And now when you look at the Allen deal, it ain't that bad anymore.
Light.
Because it just keeps going up and up and up. So if you know you've got something – get it done early. The earlier you get it done, the better it's going to be on the team side of things.
Well, the Ravens didn't really forecast the future. They didn't see which way it was going. So they're like, we're not paying you anything. I'll take you back to the thinking like this. There's always going to be an owner or a set of owners that don't care. They're always going to push the needle higher, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going to set the mark, and then the player's going to come behind that, and that's going to be the new mark. And that's what happened with Deshaun Watson. Now, they had a window with Lamar Jackson to get it done in Baltimore. They did not do that. They're going to either pay the price now, or they're going to move on. They're going to fish or cut bait. It's one of the two. this is where you are. And it's funny, people run around here, get around, they mad at Jimmy Haslam because he paid Deshaun Watson, which opened the door to the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. Have you seen these football players in their 50s and 60s?
Guys looking bad.
Crippled.
Oh, my God.
Can't walk.
I went to an event. My daughter was getting recruited at Pittsburgh. I went to an event. Tony Dorsett and them were all there. I walked in. I was like, oh, my God.
Can't walk.
I was like,
can't move.
what happened to y'all? It's bad. And that money there is an insurance marker down the line because you're paying the price. What do they call it when you pay up front now? They call it, you're paying it forward right now.
Yeah, or
paying it forward right now.
Or since I've been taking L's, messing around with these houses, that's your earnest money.
Yeah, that's your earnest
we
money.
need that earnest money down.
I was just telling you, man. Here. I felt like this. For what they were laying on the line, they were severely undercompensated because you look at the money; it's a big number. You don't see what they look like after 55.
Yeah,
this is. So you get the stories and tidbits about the CTE and this. See the ones that are just walking around here.
I mean, and the only ones that's getting more is the quarterbacks. You take a look at the rest of the guys, the receivers, DBs, defensive end. Other than that, not really. You had Lamar Jackson's quote and what he said, or Deshaun Watson on Lamar Jackson. I hope he gets what he wants. Like I said, I never talked to him about it, so I can't speak on his business side. But he's a great player. He's going to, and he's going to be. Yeah. When you look at that, I look at it like this. You look at Jalen Hurts at the top of the food chain, right? And so if you're Lamar Jackson, you start to think like, so hold on. I'm seeing Daniel Jones at 40 million, okay? Now there's a Deshaun Watson somewhere in about 46. Now Jalen Hurts is now the top dog on the food chain, and it's almost like he has to be looking at him like, hold on, is he as accomplished as I am? Yeah. Does he have the hardware that I got?
No.
Does he have? And now you automatically look at it. Before it was, we're not gonna give Lamar Jackson no money because he's a running quarterback. We're not gonna give Lamar Jackson no money because I think that the way he plays is not sustainable. Well, Jalen Hurts is the same kind of quarterback. Now that you got a same quarterback that is running the ball, that is still doing that and putting himself in harm's way. He hasn't had the injuries, but do you think now Lamar Jackson looks at it like, well, you just gave the running guy and Kyler Murray $50 million?
Well, let's wait and see after the draft if there's action on Lamar, because he's out there for anyone right at this point. Anybody can go give him an offer. So it's not just the Ravens.
Yeah.
So this is any team wants a quarterback, step right up.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious to see after we get past the draft, after some of these teams with some high picks who don't want to forfeit a pick in this year's draft, let's get beyond the draft and see if there's a little bit more movement on the Lamar market.
I think you did. You bring up something. We'll read this first. It's definitely good to be able to see him get an extension. He deserves every penny, and all the other guys that are up next deserve it too. That's Deshaun Watson talking about Jalen Hurts.
He's saying the correct thing, right? Yeah. Well, first of all, it's always about when you get a payday. It's all about leverage. You're only good as your last game. So Jalen Hurts is coming off a Super Bowl performance, played very well. He had them by the you-know-what. Mm-hmm. They were going to have to pay. The $40 million is now the going standard here for the quarterback. Starting quarterback that on a winning team, that's the going freaking standard now, right? Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I'm reminded, Jason, of, remember when Magic signed that contract with the Lakers, $1 million a year for 25 years, and everybody thought, oh my God, Magic Johnson got $1 million a year. And then the new standard came out, somebody was like, somebody got that in like a 3-year period. Yeah. And Magic was like, went back to the Lakers, like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Because somebody is always out there to set the new standard. And when they set the new standard, the league, by hook or crook, go kicking and screaming sometimes, but they ultimately adjust to the new standard.
And that's how it should be. The players should want guys to leap them because that just keeps raising the bar for everybody else. If you're here and everybody else is coming under you, that's a problem when
some people are selfish.
I'll go back to when Jim
Thome
was here, and the players union was putting a lot of pressure on Thome to take the Philly offer. Because they get on these guys and tell them, like, listen, you have to clear the way for the guys that come behind you, just like the guys ahead of you forge the path. And The union looks down on guys who take less in any sport. You know that, to stay in one spot. If you take less, that's a problem by union standards because they want to keep elevating
I mean, when you have honest brokers, that's the case. You know, sometimes, let me be clear. I'm a union guy, right? No problem with it. Be clear, though, sometimes they're not working in your best interest either, right? Sometimes you have to make a decision that's for your best interest.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're diversely at odds with one another.
And like, so let's take a look at, you say you brought up the union. If you look at it from a perspective, okay, the union wants those guys to take the most money, maximum money. Mm-hmm. Don't you believe if that was the case, that if after Deshaun Watson, shouldn't the union been sitting down with the rest of the quarterbacks coming up and saying, look, this is an opportunity for you guys to set yourselves up, but this is an opportunity for you guys to set all quarterbacks up. Deshaun started from fair, foul, whatever the case may be. He got the contract. It's not about whether you think he deserves it or not. But you next guys can come up, the next 2 or 3, and if you guys all put your heads together and say, we are only signing deals for guaranteed deals, don't you think that would have put pressure on the NFL to say, we might not give everybody deals like that, but quarterback position, that's the position you give guaranteed money to?
Well, you're out here thinking that there's a working relationship between the union and all the players.
I would think so.
Some of them dudes you don't even know them. You don't even talk to them.
That's
right?
Crazy.
Some of the people, I guarantee you, some of them don't even talk to them, right? Because you're talking about the player is the CEO of himself,
right?
Of his own company, right? He has his team around him and his own little board members around him, and we only need you when we need you. And when I don't need you, I don't need you. Right, because that's how, and it works both ways. They play it the same way. I'm telling you, man. There used to be like the president of the Players Association, NBA, man. I can't tell you the number of times that we had interaction with them. You know, so it don't work like that. So you would think it would work differently because we'd be strategically working together. Yeah. It ain't like that.
I remember a few years ago
in
Major League Baseball, the Indians player rep was like a nobody. It was like it was the job nobody else wanted, so they gave it to the guy that was low man on the totem pole. And then the NBA sort of flipped that when you saw
that
Chris.
That became recent.
Yeah, when Chris Paul and LeBron and like the names held the power positions within the union. And I know I'm talking about different sports, but I'm just trying to illustrate how different eras view the role of the union and the importance of the union in these things.
The only difference is this, Jason, because I played with some pretty powerful people. They never flexed. When you have the juice, you have to flex. And not just flexing for yourself. You're flexing to bring the masses behind you, right? And he never flexed. That's why I kudos to LeBron, Chris Paul, that era player, because they had the power. And when I say flex, that means bring them to the table. You had to listen to them, right? Now listen, Mike never was doing that. They used to get a job to the low man on the totem pole. Yeah. It was a job. Nobody wanted to be the player rep.
Well,
you didn't even get a free trip, I don't think.
When you're dealing with the NFL, it just seems as if, people talk about empowerment. It's a trickle-down theory. Like, if you're thinking, if I'm looking at it and I see Deshaun Watson, and I think Lamar Jackson saw this, he's looking at it like, hey, I feel like this is they're kind of in a position where they're a little weak. If I step up and say, I'm not going to take no less money than he got, he's looking at the guys above him like, hey, I know what's coming back. I got Jalen Hurts. I know I got Joe Burrow. He's a progressive thinking type dude, right? If I can fall in line and get a guaranteed deal, then we get Jalen Hurts to the table. Then we get a Joe Burrow to the table. Well, now we may be able to change some things.
You're talking logically. When I look at sports, the strongest union I see out here is the baseball union. Mm-hmm. They move in force, right? Followed by the NBA players. They now start to move in force. The NFL, from the outside looking in, they have a lot of people they always pick off, and then it's just like the last scenario when it was coming up about when they were doing this thing with Watson and all the turmoil from last summer. Right. And I kept saying, who is speaking for the collective, right? There's really nobody speaking for the collective, right? And so they always have had a tendency, and I'll tell you why they have had a tendency. Because they don't have guaranteed contracts, they get this money up front, And that's how they peel them off. I'm going to give you this money up front, I'll peel you off, don't say nothing. And the other thing I'll tell you, this here piece keep coming out, but I'll tell you this. The other thing I always hear is, and not hear, but see is this. They will get you back in the NFL. Them owners, they got long, they like elephants. Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm waiting for you. I'm gonna get you. Go ask your boy. Go ask your boy. Kaepernick. They're waiting for him. He ain't seen the light of day since.
And I think, and Jason, you tell me if you hang around, or you've had an opportunity to talk around some of these individuals, given the fact that, these are NFL owners. I literally think, and I didn't think that they would be this petty, but I think that they literally was upset that Lamar Jackson would have the audacity to say he's going to show up and negotiate his own stuff.
With his mama.
It seems like it's just a principle, because like you said, anybody can get him right now. If he was available, he's available. They can offer him an offer sheet right now.
Which is why I wonder if this is going to change after the draft, because I don't think they're holding the fact he's trying to negotiate for himself against him.
This is punishment.
I think they're looking at him as it's a bad decision. But a team that needs a quarterback, I mean, look at the teams that were lining up for Deshaun. And there's a lot more baggage with Deshaun than there was with Lamar.
So why is it not? We'll drill down there. With everything that Deshaun Watson has, right? He has the year where he sat out. He's had some issues back and forth with his own owner and general manager. He sat out a year. He had the allegations. He had all these things, 11 games, all the suspicions hanging over. How is it that teams, 4, 5, 6 teams, interested in Deshaun Watson, but not necessarily the same for Lamar Jackson?
But Deshaun controlled that because he had a no-trade clause. So Deshaun controlled the whole thing. Regardless of what was going on off the field, Deshaun controlled where he was going to go next. And Lamar doesn't have that. The Ravens really are still in control because they can match any deal that comes to him. So teams around the league don't want to do Baltimore's bidding and put a contract in front of him that Baltimore's just going to match. That's why I think we have to wait until after the draft. If we get beyond the draft and teams still are not coming for him, I don't know what to make of that. Like, we need to get to that point and see, because I just think there's going to be more interest in signing him to an offer sheet once teams don't have to give up their first-round pick in this draft.
Well, I just say this is the retribution is coming, and so to me, because the writing's on the wall. You saw the list of who was making the money. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could easily just pay him the money, and you could justify it by saying the rest of these guys got this money, so we slide him in here, right? You can be done, right? They're not doing that.
So
they're not doing it, and so I say this: because again, it appears to me from the outside looking in, there's some retribution coming here, and so they're gonna make him, because the tone is bad. You walked in here and told me what you're gonna do. Then you walked in here with your mama and told me what you're gonna do. And I'm like, you're not gonna tell me. That's how they do. You're not gonna tell me. I'm gonna tell you what it is.
Can we get that list? Can we get the list, the ranking system? Because I'm with you. I'm kind of confused. If they really wanted to get it done today, they could just slot him somewhere in between that.
And so here you go.
So today
they got to sign the deal.
No, I'm saying if they gave him
here, Jason, the numbers they have put on the board that are publicly out here don't even compare to where these top 5 are. Right? They don't.
It was common knowledge, I'll put it that way, at the Combine. Lamar had told the Ravens, 5 for $250, every penny guaranteed, and don't call me until you say yes.
Yeah,
There's no negotiation.
We all talk tough.
So he said 5 for $250.
But he's not negotiating. Like, Baltimore is privately telling people there is no negotiating going on. Like, in a negotiation, both sides are talking. He's saying 5 for $250, or I'm not picking up the phone. Don't call me until you say yes.
Here's the deal. If you do that, say, okay, I'm gonna tell you what I have on, because they don't have nothing to lose. This is what I'm gonna put on the table. I'll put on the table today. It can be 2 weeks from now, a month from now. I'm gonna put this on the table. So they have a number that they want. They may not publicly say what the number is, but they know where they'll go.
Somebody said 200. It was a 200. Somebody said it was known that 200 million was on the table, and then that 200 million he turned down because he said he wanted the 250. Now.
That number's gone down now because Jalen took less.
I don't know
of guaranteed money.
Now,
you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Now,
so anything after the guaranteed money, let me just say this: anything after guaranteed money is phantom money. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's phantom money, right? Because you may or may not get it.
Well, if you stay healthy and you're a quarterback, you're going to get it.
Well, that's what I said.
You're
you
gonna
may or may not get it, right?
Barry said at the Combine, Andrew Barry said this is not going to be the new standard of contract.
You know what the good thing about NBA money is?
Guaranteed.
It's all guaranteed.
That's
right?
a great.
You don't have nothing on me. You're not going to pull the wool up under my eyes, right? You're not going to do it. And for the life of me, I don't understand why the football players don't address that.
I don't think, and before we get to you, I just don't think, in general, I think that if you would have, Lamar Jackson would have this is even beyond Lamar Jackson. This is just something for the football players. The same way that the owners talk and get together and stand on something, y'all might want to get together and start standing on something. And it has to come from the quarterbacks. It can't come from a D tackle or some random linebacker
or the center.
Or center. That ain't gonna get it done. If you guys want to fight for guaranteed contracts, it's going to come from that room, from those individuals there at the highest in the food chains. And I think, and I'll tell you what, I think you can get a couple allies. But if I'm Jalen Hurts and I'm a second-round pick, and you sitting here arguing for the guarantee, and then they got two, they gonna give me $50 a year? Sorry, I'm gonna take that.
This is a great conversation so far. And Brad said something earlier, how Chris Paul and LeBron James was able to take control and kind of shift the way things were done. I found an article in the New York Post. This is dated March 18, 2023. And this is NFLPA director, DeMaurice Smith. And he writes that owners take fully guaranteed contracts because they are better for the players and than they are for the owners, which we know that. He continues as such, these contracts will shift control to the player, allow them to benefit the most from the arrangement, and limit the control of the owner and the team. So I guess to add to the conversation, do you all think that the quarterbacks in particular are willing to step up, step out, and kind of go against the grain to break the barrier for everybody else going forward?
Come on, Earl, they're not going to do that. Why they're not going to do it? Let me tell you why they're not going to do it. All right, it's real simplistic. They're the ones getting peeled off. They're getting the cheese.
They getting broke off.
The crumbs are coming their way.
They're the ones getting broke off.
They're the first ones to get broke off. So when they get broke off, tendency in this world is like, I'm saying nothing. Why should I say something?
Yeah, why would you?
I'm not going to do that, right? Because there's no reason why that if you have your Brady's and your top people at the front of the ticket, right, they couldn't walk away from them. It'd be a PR nightmare. But you never see Brady and them out front, right? Why not, Jason? Because they already got peeled off.
They're making their money.
They got peeled off. And so they like, quietly, y'all go out there and fight. Let me know how we doing, right? We ain't doing that.
I think one of the things that's missed in it is like from a standpoint of the highest paid quarterback, like is Jalen Hurts worth $51 million?
If somebody's willing to pay it. You're worth what someone will pay you. That's your worth. If someone will pay it to you, then you're worth it.
It's like when you sell a house.
Yeah.
What's your house worth? Whatever they'll write a check for.
That's right.
That's what it's worth.
So
we sold our house in the pandemic, and I felt bad for the people that bought it because I'm like, it ain't worth that. But you want to put an extra zero on it.
That's what it's worth
Here
today.
You go.
That's what it's worth today.
That is what it's worth
crazy.
Today.
I don't think it's not going to change unless those guys did it. Now, I always look at it in terms of what the NFL is thinking about it. And you know how it's just so funny? The NFL just moves right along, right? Like the NFL does not.
Nothing stops the machine. The pandemic couldn't bring down the NFL.
It just moves right along. Like it's crazy.
You're not gonna bring down that machine. You're just not. And it's okay. I mean, I'm just saying here. I love the NFL, right? I do, right? I wait for the Sundays, right? You know me, I'm doing yard work for the Browns because they're going to force me to do yard work while I'm yelling, right? I love that, right? The players, the way the system is set up, and I have to think at some point, they seem to be okay with it. They like the way it is. I don't know if that works, right? But I will tell you this, unless your top people come to the front, and I'm not just saying to rob somebody, to level the field as much as possible so that we all can get it. Because here, be clear. The NFL making a lot of money here, right?
They got it.
Like, hey, So when you talk about new stadiums downtown Cleveland, the question going to be, what you putting in? What you putting in?
They got it.
Right. And this has been, so you make, because you can't be the old school owner. I told you that. The Art Models of the world, they gone, right? You need big ticket dollar people now and people behind them to own these teams. And then guess how they get rewarded? It probably is not in the day-to-day operations like you with the Cowboys make a lot of merchandising money and TV money or New York market. You get paid, they get paid, and shareholders get paid when they sell.
Yeah.
So you buy here and sell there. Mm-hmm. That's when everybody gets paid, right? So they know that. It's a long-term annuity investment for them. Mm-hmm. They're just having fun doing it because they know at the end you're going to get some paper out of this thing. Why do you think people be jumping on like magic now? I come in for a meal.
Hey, listen,
I'll turn that meal into 5 meal, right?
I tell you what, man, it's always a new generation, new crop of cats coming through. Everybody's getting rich. And so we're going to transition to the Browns in the draft.
Let's do it.
And, the funny thing about the draft used to be the Super Bowl here. And we still talk about it, but we really don't talk about it as with the depth that now that we have Deshaun Watson and the goal now is transition. We're in the process of the business where, we're not just trying to maintain, we're actually trying to expound on what the business is and make it profitable. Let's move to the draft.
Okay.
And when you're looking at this draft, we'll start with you, Brad. Coming out of this draft, you have 74 and 98. Those are your first two picks. Are you going to start with
74 and 98?
Yeah, 74 and 98.
Gave us some real estate to get.
Yeah, we did get, and now we trying to get back up.
Right.
Is the Browns' best philosophy going to be best available or by need?
Well, I think your philosophy in the draft is always best available, depending on where you're picking it. But we are in the market to buy a need, right? Now, here, I will say this. To me, Andrew Berry's done a good job assembling the pieces that we have now. We're going to wait to see what we have. But I stay in buying mode, right? I'm not going to come out of buying mode because I still need some pieces. I might have to pick them up at draft day. I got to see how some of this dust settles, right? Because I know y'all all be on me about this, but I like, man, Ezekiel is still nowhere. He ain't nowhere. You know what I like? I like teams that pick up pieces, right? Now, whether I use them or not, but I got pieces. The problem is when we get down to like the Cavs on Tuesday night here, we were like, where are the pieces at, right? This is when this comes into play. Buying, you got to be shrewd about it, though. I think Andrew Berry, when I go back and look at it, he's been fairly shrewd about putting this together without going broke, right? Now we got to see if it plays out because we still have some holes. He's tried to address some. I'm giving room for others to step up. Kareem Hunt is still running around out here, right? What are we doing, right? We have some bandwidth, Jason. We do, right? I think that we have to be in a mode that we're always looking to get better.
So Jason, when you look at this draft and you take a look at it specifically, best need, most needed player, or specifically, the best available on the board, even if it's not in a position in need, where do you stand on that?
Well, they don't have anything that is an absolute glaring need right now. Certainly without a first-round pick, like you're in the third round. Like, you're not drafting a third round to be a day one starter.
Yeah.
More than likely with where they're at, with where this roster is at. They do need more linebackers. They need another defensive tackle, especially if Perron Winfrey gets cut. I think they still need help in the middle of that defensive
What's up
line.
with that?
I think they're going to let this process play out. I don't think he's on this team on opening day. I'll be surprised. If he's still on this roster in September, I'll be really surprised.
Sometimes it's not worth the headache.
Well, that's exactly it. Like, he showed some flashes last year, but not enough to put up with some of this. And eventually, and I'm telling you, Brown's reputation around the league, from the Kareem instance to the Deshaun, like, they're bringing these guys in. These aren't guys. Now, Perrion in his defense was here, but he had flags on his background when they drafted
when he got
him.
here, right.
So, but the Browns at some point have to take a stand, because their view externally, whether or not they care about this, is that they don't care about women. Yeah. That's the view. They went and got Kareem after we all saw the video. They went and got Deshaun after all the allegations, and now you've got this thing with
Kareem's a model
Perrion.
citizen since he's been here. For all
He
I
has
can
been
tell.
good. He has been
Yes,
good.
I can tell.
And Perrion, he's just a
Deshaun too, for all that good. I haven't heard anything out in these streets about him. Right?
This was what gets me about certain people. Like back in the day when I was playing and we had a new coach come in, we knew what it was about. Like when you get a new coach that come into the system, they watching you. They tick, 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 tick. They trying to find out who you is and what you about. But when you look at Perrion Winfrey, you didn't have a great season last year. You showed some things, right? But you also were suspended by people, people saying you need to get mature. You were sat down last year. Why in the heck would you come out here, Perrion, and knowing good and well you got a new defensive coordinator, a new coach that's watching, and they done already got 3-4 dudes. They got 3-4 dudes they've already brought in veterans, right? That signals to the young guys, we are not playing with y'all. We don't have time to wait on you. And Perrion is a guy who had issues in Oklahoma. And let's just be clear, Jason, you're right. At some point in time, you can't keep having the same trope hit y'all, especially when it comes to women. Right? If after the Deshaun Watson thing, things should have went off in everybody's mind. Hey, listen, I can't be moving around doing certain things. And to be truthful, I tell my family and the members this all the time. I'm trying to grind. I ain't got no time to be doing cookouts. I could do cookouts with you the rest of my life. But I don't have no time visiting, leaving, coming back. You can FaceTime me, bro. I'm in this book. I'm trying to get better. And a lot of times for young players, this was not the time to be hanging out.
We weren't there. We don't have the details of what happened with Perrion. But what is disappointing is the fact that they did send him home knowing he had to grow up and mature, and he couldn't afford any more instances like
so
this.
You're correct. Nobody knows what happens. But here's the deal, right? You have to be aware of the circumstances. You have to know what's really on the table. So the table for him is he's still on a make good.
Yep.
He has to be on his best behavior at all times.
You can't put yourself
in
a
position. He has
position.
to be in a professional light all the time and prove to people, because if he don't think that word was out there to prove to people that I can be the person that measures up to this talent that we think you have, right? And that's what you always have to be. So you have to be the person that arrives to work every day early, the one that stays longer, right? To prove that, like, Okoro comes to practice first.
Yes.
He's the last one to leave.
Yep.
Right? He's always done that, right? So they don't question
the work ethic.
That ain't even an issue.
They question some other stuff,
right?
But they don't question the work ethic. So that gives you the grace that as sometimes when you're stumbling along, they give you more grace and say, okay, we're gonna keep working with you. Mm-hmm. But if you start doing things that it goes back to this, they say this. They don't even understand.
Yeah, you don't even get it. It's the principle, right? You don't. I will say this. It's disappointing though, because what I really would like to see is him being able to learn from some of those veterans in there, right? Being able to be up underneath some of those guys and to learn a little something. Now it seems like a lot of times with the Browns, they're trying to build depth. They're trying to build their roster. They're trying to build their numbers. And it seems like they're always losing a guy, whether it be from injury, whether it be from guys that's not doing the right stuff. And it's hard to build those ranks when you're doing that.
Part of that is the nature of the NFL. It's you're always churning. You're always bringing guys in and guys are going out. But to get back to the original point about the draft, I'll be surprised if they stay at 74. That's just not their MO. They have too many picks for what spaces they have available on this roster. I would like to see them try and package a couple and move up, either higher to the third round or the second round.
Would you mind dipping in next year's resources? Now
it depends on who. It depends on who's available and at what spot. I mean, who among us thought that they would take a corner with their first pick last year? I never would have dreamed that.
Not at all.
And it turned out to be a home run pick.
Yeah.
So but they had to drop down quite a far ways in order to do that. They came out of the second round, dropped to the third, picked up an extra pick that became Cade York. Mm-hmm. So I don't see them. I mean, they love to move down and acquire picks. If they're doing that again, it's to get picks next year. I don't think they're going to move down from 74. I wouldn't think. But, hopefully maybe there's someone available in the second round, receiver. I don't know if I mentioned that. Receiver, tackle, and linebacker. The conversation hasn't changed. Those are the three spots where I think they could use more depth. It just depends on how your board falls, who's available. And if someone you really like slips a couple spots and you've got extra ammo to go up and get someone, go be aggressive.
Well, it seems to me the Browns are built for now.
Yeah.
I ain't got a whole lot of time to be because my window is short. Mm-hmm. I ain't got a lot of time for problems. I ain't got a lot of time for if you ain't ready to go. I ain't got time to train you up. Yeah. Because my window is short, right? And so when your window's a little longer, you can. It's like Minnesota Timberwolves. Their window's a little longer, so you have to take some incoming, right? Mm-hmm. And whereas you like Golden State, their window is now.
Yeah, they're not worried about resources.
No, because them dudes gonna be gone. Yeah, you can see it.
You're past your prime, and we got a lot of guys that kind of fit that mold. Let me ask you, this story came out. I know it's not on the rundown. What do you guys make of Greg Newsome coming out with his plea? Greg Newsome, Jason, he said he loves Cleveland. He won't be here. I get it. He does. Is that a product of his agent saying, "Hey, look, we're gonna go put some water on this real quick"?
Total honesty, total honesty. I don't care if he asks for a trade or not because he's not going anywhere. They're not going to trade him. I don't believe in anything players say on the record. Players and agents lie half the time and make up the rest. When you're talking on the record,
that's the way it goes.
They say what they're supposed to say.
You see my face? Yeah. What you say?
That's the way it goes.
Am I wrong?
Is that what about the reporters that lie and make up things on the record?
I've never done that.
I didn't say you did. See, her dog will always bark. You know that? Have you ever known that?
He said, "Are you allegedly saying?"
Right. I'm just saying there are people in his business that make up things all the time.
It depends on who you're talking about in the publication.
Okay, I can go to Chicago, LA, New York. There are people in your business that make up stuff all the. It don't have nothing to do with the person. I mean, the business. It depends on what your motives are. Greg Newsome changed the agent for one reason, because the one he had was not getting done what he wanted to get done. He just won't tell you what the deal is, right? Greg Newsome don't want to be in that slot. He want to be on the end. They say, nah, got Emerson on the side here. He better than you. So you going in the slot. So, to Jason's point, I control you. You don't control me. You in this slot. And so now, the only reason you change the agent when you're not up in a contract year, what kind of dispute can you have?
But his agent is not going to get him into out of the slot.
But when you're young and don't know how this business really works, you think you know, right?
When Duke Johnson wanted to trade,
oh my God,
he went to the same place Greg Newsome went.
Yep. Did he get it?
And he got it. But that was a completely different circumstance.
That's a different circumstance
than what this is. And I mean, Newsome's changed agents like 3-4 times now, and now he's back where he started. So I don't care. I don't care if you ask for a trade or not. I don't care if you're happy here or not. Go out and produce. And I think part of the reason the Browns gave David Njoku the contract that they did was because he got back in the boat. Mm-hmm. And there was a time when Austin Hooper was here and they drafted Harrison Bryant. Njoku wanted out. And the Browns talked to him. They got him to buy back in. He became a very valuable player to this team. Yeah. And they ended up that contract's still an overpay. But I think part of it was because they told him, get back in the boat and we'll make you whole on the back end. And they could do the same with Newsome. What's to stop them from paying Newsome higher than slot corners get if he comes in and does his job?
And perform. But you just said the right thing. You have to perform. Right? This is what this is. You're here, let me tell you, all young players out here, no matter what sports you're in, here's the rule of the day. Take it with you. For everything that you may hear out here, you are only good as your last game. If your last game you sucked, they look at you like you sucked. If you balled out, you my latest and greatest new best friend. I said that's how you keep yourself on an even keel here, right? So when you sit here and don't do that, you're clouding your own judgment, saying, "I'm this guy."
Earl,
you're not proven to be that guy.
I got a question for Jason, but I do agree with Jason. I can care less what Greg Newsome wants. You want the contract, go out here and ball out. All that extra stuff we ain't got time for. Jason, back to the draft, though. You said there's 3 positions that you can see them trading up for. Jalen Hyatt is one of the guys that I would love to go get, but I've seen a lot of mock drafts that I've skimmed through, and it has the Browns taking running backs. Your thoughts on that?
No. And with their first pick?
Like with their first pick. And that's why we kind of titled this best available or specific need. And I was kind of shocked to see that myself, that running backs being mocked to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're looking at Nick as getting up there in running back standards.
How old is he now?
26?
I don't even know. How many years has he been here? 4? He's got to be 26, 27.
26, I'll tell you. Hold on.
But
27 years old.
Yeah. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Because the value in running back, you can find running back.
To me, I when you look at it, I can't see them going after us. Like, even if it's safety, you don't need no safety. You can get you a safety. Even if it's like there's only 3 positions to me that matter, that they should be looking at: receiver, edge rusher, linebacker, or D tackle. That's it. I would prefer to get another D tackle if they can get another veteran, so I could plug up that hole. If Perrion Winfrey not going, I wouldn't be mind if they go after that as well on the defensive line. If you gonna get rid of Perrion Winfrey, but to me, the position they still need the most is receiver. And I know people talk about it all the time, like, hey, we already got Elijah Moore. We already got Goodwin. We already got Donovan. No. Listen, that's great. I love it, like it. But I still would like. I love Jalen Hurts out of Tennessee. I think he's scary fast. He runs past everybody. I'm trying to get me one of them type dudes. If the Browns trade up and want to go get another, and to me, it's just about impact. Whoever it is they get, I need them to be in the mix for starting. And I think that's what the come down is. It's about whether or not you're going to get a bench player or a guy to come in. Give me a contributor. If you need to package up them 3s and 4s, because we don't got no time to be waiting for 3s and 4s. If you need to go back over to that second round, I would like to see them do that in day one if they feel like they got an impact player.
Receiver is the one spot where you could probably get, if you move up to the second round, you get someone who gets on the field. And linebacker, I guess. Really any position in the second round, you should get someone who's going to get on the field right away. But the Browns are really in a position right now to draft for depth. And for drafting, you're trying to draft guys now, 3rd round, 4th round, who are going to be starters for you a year from now, 2 years from now.
Or sometimes, you can find a jewel.
Absolutely.
But that requires you to be a miner. You know how to mine. You got to be able to know where somebody's got something.
And running back is the one position where you can really go. I mean, you can find a 6th round running back who becomes a pivotal piece to your team.
Look at the dude from Kansas City from Rutgers.
Shenko, I don't know where they got. That's messed up.
I don't even remember him running the Big Ten like that. No.
Well, let's transition. Let's get to some Guardians talk after. Oh, go ahead. Before you do that.
Before we get into that, we got to read. We got to get taken care of. This next segment of the show is brought to you by the USFL. Sunday, April 23rd, the USFL is back in Canton. Come celebrate pro football with free T-shirts, rally towels, and the whole family get great seats starting at just $10. So go buy your tickets today at usfl.com. The Cleveland Guardians avoided the 3-game sweep against the Detroit Tigers behind a Jose Ramirez 3-run home run. They won the game 3-2. Fellas, we need your thoughts and your opinions.
Well, the first thing that I got from that was when I saw this on the rundown, I wanted to get definitely when I seen Jason was here, I wanted to get his thoughts. The Jose Ramirez thing, right? When he got called the strike.
Yeah.
Now, I love the pitch clock. Love it to death. In that case, usually you see it where guys are in the box or whatever. But Jose Ramirez at the time was in the box. He got called for a strike because he was not looking at the pitcher.
He wasn't ready to go.
Ready to go. Do you think that's something that they should take a look at? And is this something that could potentially be harmful down the line if they don't kind of taper it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you try and build the plane while you're flying it, right? Like, that's what they're doing with this. They really overhauled the game in one offseason, and they tried some of this stuff at AAA to see what works and what doesn't, and then they bring it to the majors. But this thing in particular, they have to take a look at, and they have to get this fixed. And you get pitchers like Max Scherzer, who's trying to manipulate the system, and he's trying to manipulate the timing of the batters. I don't blame him. Like, you're a competitor. I would too. There's nothing wrong with that. But this part was weird because he was in the box, but he wasn't ready to go, and the pitcher wasn't on the mound. And as soon as he stepped on the mound, Jose wasn't ready to go, so it's a strike. Is my understanding of it. Maybe I've got something wrong on that. But the problem is you're trying to retrain the brain of these guys. Mm-hmm. Like, I'd be telling Brad, you can't shoot from the paint anymore, or you can't be on this part of the it's just when a pitcher steps off the mound, the batter steps out of the box. It's been that way for 50 years. And now they're telling the batters they can't leave the box because the pitcher can get right back on the rubber. So when the pitcher's on the rubber, you got to be ready to go. So it's just one of these nuances. It's maybe one of those things that it's an unintended consequence of the new rule, and they're going to have to take a look at this sooner than later because this is going to become a thing.
Well, I've always said this, Jason. You talk about unintended consequences. Speeding up the clock, somebody's going to get hurt here, right? Because the game is meant to be played at a pace, right? You can't go out and play 18 holes of golf, and every time you approach the ball, just start, as soon as you get there, start swinging. You can't do it, right? It just cannot be done. And something's going to give at some point in time, but they'll find out. I get them trying to understand and pick up the game in a better fashion and make it more watchable for people, right? But you can only go so far, right? So I'm really interested to see how the experiment shakes out at the end. I like to know as we get later on in the year how many people are going down.
October is going to be fascinating when it's the playoffs and every pitch matters and it's second and third and one out in the seventh inning. And you got to go. Like you've used your step offs or whatever, and like the clock's winding down, and you got to go. And I'm really fascinated to see that. Like April, okay, whatever. Like and Karinchak's a good example because Karinchak really didn't have any issues in spring training with the clock,
right?
And the Guardians were kind of pleasantly surprised. But you get into the season, things change a little bit,
right,
and things slow down a little bit. And he's had a couple issues with the pitch clock. Okay, so September pennant race, what's it going to be like? October playoffs, what's it going to be like? World Series, what's it going to be like? So I'm fascinated to see. Ultimately, maybe they add 5 seconds.
You mean when somebody blow the game because the rules came and bit them?
I mean,
I know it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Then one of the owners going to blow up and go sideways, right? Yeah.
Well, Clase hasn't been the same this year. His velocity's down just a touch, just a mile or two. And the Guardians sort of feel like the pitch clock because he was so slow in the past, and now he's got to go, and now he's got to ramp up and go. And they feel like the pitch clock has been one of the things with him. Zach Meisel, that's not mine. Zach Meisel wrote about that for us a couple of days ago, mentioned it. So these are all things, and maybe next year, like I said, maybe next year they put 5 seconds on. Who's 20 instead of 15, 25 instead of 20. There's things that they can that probably wouldn't add a ton of time to the game, but still gets the point across and gives these guys an extra half second to breathe. I don't know, but this thing that we saw yesterday
was different.
They need to address. I mean, they did it in the middle of the season with the sticky stuff. They changed the rules right in the middle of the season. So there's nothing that would stop them from. It's only April. This is brand new, and there's nothing that would prevent them from taking a look at that specific aspect of this rule.
And Tito, to his point, when he was explaining it after the game, he said, "Look, they've been telling us to tell our guys
stay in the box.
Don't move away. Don't step out. Don't adjust your wristbands. Continue to." And the eye contact thing is big because some people assume that, hey, just because I'm in the box, I'm good. No, you got to actually be paying attention and ready to go. And it doesn't really matter what the pitcher is doing. And he said it's just so hard to get these guys.
Right.
This is hard. Like when you step out, and Jose's doing his routine.
He's standing there swinging the bat,
just trying to stay loose.
Right.
He doesn't want to be, batting and hitting is all about rhythm.
Right.
It's almost a dance, and for them to tell a guy to stand up there like a statue, it's just difficult to kind of really, change the way people are hardwired.
I mean, an easy solution is if the pitcher steps off the rubber, once he gets back on, you have 1 second or 2 seconds to be back in your, whatever.
Yeah.
And that way that guys can stay in the box. That way, Jose, exactly what he did is legal. He's still in the box. All he has to do is just get ready to go.
And reset itself. In terms of what happened on the field, they lose the doubleheader to the Tigers. And I was talking to Matt Derry the other day when I was on the radio, and he says, man, that's just what the Guardians do. Like, the Guardians, every game is close. Like, there is no game where you watch the Guardians, you're like, wow, it's 9-2. They get out there and they blow them out, and you can go home and enjoy the game. They did salvage the sweep yesterday. Jason, when you look at the Guardians and with the Tigers, I think one of the things that, people don't really get is they're going to play less games against the Tigers and the Royals and those guys. So is it a little bit disappointing when you do see them play the Tigers and you're kind of thinking like, hey, you don't want to think you're going to sweep everybody, but you at least want to take 2 or 3 out of the softer teams.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you want to take 2 or 3 every series. It's a 667 winning percentage.
Right.
Winning 67% of your games, you're going to the playoffs. And obviously that's not going to happen. You're going to get a few sweeps. You're going to get swept a few times. You're not going to beat the Tigers. I don't care how bad of a team they are. You're not going to beat them every game. it was disappointing to lose both in a doubleheader. But, whatever. It's April. I'm more concerned with how this team's playing in September than they are in April. This team usually gets off to a little bit slow starts under Tito in April because he's building and building and building this thing. And he wants them playing at their best, August, September, October, which traditionally they've done under him. So I get the frustration. They've had a ton of injuries already with the pitching staff. They're already thin a little bit on the bullpen because they've had to overuse some guys. And we've seen the moves now, Hunter Gaddis going down. I'm really curious to see who they bring up next week. They got a lot of options to fill that spot. We've seen movement with prospects coming up and down.
Yeah.
Brian
So what do you think long term, right? Because at some point you had to turn your prospects out and say, let me see what you got here. Right?
And they brought Rocchio up, Rocchio.
And I'm not talking about for a week.
Yeah, like they.
I'll give you a look-see.
But it looks like he's gonna be. They brought him up, and they're gonna sit him back down.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got excited because they're like, "Whoa, wow, we already had Arias up here, and then we got him, and I would say he's their best prospect, infield prospect, right?"
Arias?
Rocchio? Yeah, Rocchio.
Yeah, Rocchio is, listen, plans change all the time. It was my understanding last year they were sort of viewing Jimenez and Arias as up the middle future, combination of the future. Okay. Arias didn't have a great year in AAA last year. He's here now. They've moved him around, given him a look at different spots. He's ahead time-wise of Rocchio. Doesn't mean he's ahead on their plans, though. But the Rocchio thing was really, Rosario's banged up a little bit. Freeman's a little bit banged up. So they brought him up as an insurance policy. Those guys are fine. They didn't need to go on the IL. So now Rocchio goes back down. He'll go back down. I don't know if it's official. It'll probably happen today. And they need another arm. They need a reliever in the bullpen. They're a little thin right now on arms.
Jay, let me ask you a question. So when they bring people up, how long do they give you a look in baseball, right? How typically?
Well, it depends on what the reason that you're there. Like sometimes you're there for one day. You're there to make one spot start because it's a doubleheader and you need a guy, and when you come up, you're going right back down after the game. Sometimes the situation, they had injuries with Plesac and Savali in 2019. Those guys came up with knowing – you pitch well, you're going to stick. And that's why I'll spin this ahead to next week. With Gaddis going down, Logan Allen is an option. Tanner Bybee, who I've been really anxious to see, is an option. Xavier Curry, they could pull from the bullpen and give him a start. But these guys are getting to the point where you talk about you've got all these prospects, let's see what you have. Well, this could be an opportunity next week with that rotation spot opening with them sending Gaddis down. Battenfield pitched well the other day. I'm still not convinced he's going to be okay long term. But, give him his credit. He did well for one start. But Bybee or Logan Allen, if they slot them in next week, that's a situation where I think they're here as long as they perform.
Because, typically it used to be like this. You would use your young talent to motivate your older personnel to keep somebody on their heels, to keep them hungry. Right, because sometimes you can become complacent.
Absolutely.
Right, and so that's why I was asking. Typically they're using the minor leagues like their G League, NBA.
Well, they don't have old guys to motivate. They're all young.
When I say old guys, I say the people in front of you. Even the vet guy, you got to keep some heat on them sometime.
Rosario is not going anywhere. I know people get frustrated.
That's old boy's boy. So he ain't going nowhere.
Rosario's not going anywhere until
that's Ramirez's friend.
Rosario's not going anywhere until he goes somewhere.
He ain't going nowhere.
For some pieces.
Yeah, but Tito is so loyal to him. That's a guy that they just. I think he's here all year. I think he's a shortstop all year. He's off to a terrible start. He's gotten off to worse April starts. Believe me, he's just one of the. He could be one of those guys that don't like the cold. And as the weather warms, so does his bat. He's traditionally been a slow starter. And I would like to see him at least go lower in the order. I think Jimenez should be batting second. He's the second best hitter on the team, and he's hitting the lower half of the lineup. That's the one thing with Tito that I don't understand. But we'll see. Rosario, I think, is here all year. I don't think they're going to move him. They do have a bunch of shortstop prospects who probably one of them, whether it be Rocchio or Arias, or maybe it's Jimenez, and they slide one of these guys over to second. But I think for this year it's Rosario.
That's the craziest thing about it, because when you just a guy when you just watch it and doing stuff with the Guardians and looking at it, you just look how many middle infielders they got. The Rocchio guy who could play second base or shortstop. You already have Arias up here who's doing shortstop in third base. He's basically been an infield platooner.
Tyler Freeman.
Angel Martinez is a guy.
He's a little bit lower down.
So there's 5-6 dudes.
But they like, and a lot of teams feel this way. Shortstop is your most athletic position. If you can play shortstop in baseball, you can play anywhere in baseball. So stockpile the middle infield prospects.
Okay.
And then if you have a hole at second, if you have a hole at third, if you can send them to right field, you can send them to left field. You know, you should have the athleticism to be able to move around
that's smart.
and fill different spots. And that's why. But at some point, like, they're going to have to make a move. And you hear Bull scream all the time, Brian Reynolds, Brian Reynolds, Brian Reynolds. He wants Brian Reynolds. And they may get to the point this year where they have to trade for a bat. But I think right now, April, May, and June, and July is to see where are our holes, where are we weak, and I've said this for a year and a half, and they still haven't made a big move. They have everything they need to go get whatever it is they want. If they need an arm, they can go get an arm. If they need a big corner bat, they have the prospect capital to go get a bat. If they need a starting pitcher, they have a prospect capital to go get that. It may hurt with the pieces that they have to send out, but they have everything they need. They have a top outfield prospect in George Valera, top middle infield prospects. You just rattled them off. 3 top arms, Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams, Daniel Espino. They have the pieces that other teams covet. They have everything they need to go get whatever they want.
Earl, we got all the sponsors we need.
And what they want may be to just call those guys up. It
Bring
could
them
be.
up.
Go ahead.
All right, man. Great first hour. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Before we continue,
man, say that with a smile on your face.
Say it with your chest.
Right.
1 hour down, 1 hour to go. So before we
There we go.
we're going to get a word in from our panel, man, on subscribers and memberships. Go ahead, Steve.
Attention, all Cleveland sports fans.
Are you tired of missing out on exclusive content and behind-the-scenes conversations?
The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show has got you covered.
For less than $2 a month, you can become a Starters tier member. You get custom emojis and badges that other people don't have.
Or upgrade to the big-time coaches tier. For less than $5 a month, you get all the exclusive overtime content, things that those other suckers are not getting.
Don't miss out on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show experience.
Yes, sir.
And it's 12 o'clock, and as always, your 12 o'clock lunch hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to you by Carlick Racing, the official NASCAR team of Northeast Ohio. So we got Brad, we got Jason, we got G. Me and Anthony been coming up with some dope content, at least we think so. And we had a question for you all.
Your own hype man. Right?
So the other day I was watching the NBA playoffs, and I heard Shaq talk about, you know, if you got an adequate bench, you can lean on them. But if you don't have an adequate bench, then it's up to the starters to get out there and make it do what it do. Is it time for an Evan Mobley offensive explosion game?
Well, Jay, you go first, and then I'm going to weigh in on it.
I don't know in this series if he's going to have the type of game, an offensive explosion type game.
So what do you think is an explosion for him?
I mean, an explosion to me for a big man is 30 points. Like, that's an explosion.
I listen. I'll take 20 if he have a 23-point explosion.
He was waiting in the wings. He had something to say.
That
today.
23.
Go ahead, do your thing.
Hey, that 23 explosion.
I'm a back cleanup today.
But,
y'all go ahead. I'm a back cleanup.
But look, Jason, he's having trouble finishing around that rim.
He's having trouble with Julius Randle.
Yeah, it's bully ball down there. It's ugly down there. Like, and I'll say it. I mean, it's just not this series. I watched the Memphis Grizzlies and the Lakers last night, and LeBron is finding guys under the basket. He's turning around, finding them under the post. But the problem is they got Jaren Jackson standing there, all these dudes standing there, and it's hard for them to finish. Mm-hmm. I look at it, if Mobley can give me 17 and 12 and some good defense.
That's a good game.
That's a great game. I'll
game.
take that. If you're going to get Mobley, going to give you that.
And I think that's realistic. I think he can give you 15 and 10, 17 and 11. He had 13 rebounds the other night. When I hear explosion, I'm thinking a 30-point monster game when you're taking over. And I don't know that necessarily – I don't know if they need that out of him.
Yeah.
Like, they need Darius and Donovan to drive this thing.
Is it time for the cleanup?
Listen, who's the tallest baseball player ever?
Me.
All right, come on. Clean up. Let's move on.
To Jason's point, explosion is a relative term.
Mm-hmm.
He's the third option on this bandwagon. That's clear. Mitchell, Garland, Mobley.
Unless LeVert is hot.
It's still Mitchell Garland.
It's still Marshall go here. What he cannot do, because he's learning on the job.
Yep.
That's a tough matchup. Yeah. Randall's a tough matchup for him. Why? Because the thing that negates Evans' length and athleticism is being negated by
that forearm.
These forearm
that
shivers.
Wood.
That's what's
that.
This wood.
Every time he
this wood. This wood. The game in the playoffs does like this. It's not a normal game where you go up and down. Mm-hmm. It gets smaller. Everything gets truncated. It's in here tighter. And so he's having a little difficulty just learning. He's adjusting to it. He's getting better. What we cannot have out of Evan Mobley is 8 points. We cannot have that, right? Because it puts too much pressure on the other two to perform. Now, the other day it worked good because Garland went for big numbers. Mitchell came in strong. We're going to need solid performance. So a good game for him would be 15 to 17, 10, 12 boards, couple blocks, playing big. What I did not see, I'll go back to one thing that happened the other day in the victory. There was a breakdown of a play. Well, we did when we showed the other day when Mobley was trying to box out for a shot, and then Randall ran him up under the goal. Right. Neither Garland stepped in or Mobley knew to. This is not a guy I can traditionally box out. I'm gonna have to face guard this dude. Yeah. Just hold him up. Yeah. Your job is just to hold him up. And Jared and them guards, y'all better get these rebounds because I gotta stop him. So he hasn't learned yet to negate that. Now we move on to they win and move on to another series. It's gonna be different because he's just Julius Randle at 6'9", 6'10". It's just a hard matchup because of the physical way he plays the game.
Yes. You know what I didn't notice the impact, and I'm gonna see what y'all thinking about this. I thought JB did something that was really, I liked it a lot. I thought the first game they let Jalen Brunson have too much freedom defensively. I felt like I felt like they involved him with Mobley and Allen in the pick and roll like every play. I just felt like they was just up there.
Well, they were.
And they was setting solid screens on him, and I thought just by that alone, that slowed Brunson down with his legs. I thought he was much more labored in the fourth quarter. He had to work harder for his shots.
You put him in some pick and rolls. And the other thing, I don't know if you picked this up, but even when Danny Green got in the game, which I'm glad they finally went to Danny Green for somebody who'd been in the fray. Yeah. When he got matched up on Brunson, did you see the guys were sitting on that left hand now?
Yeah, they was.
You gonna go the other way. You gonna go the other way. Yeah. That's just enough to slow a guy down, right? You're not gonna keep coming back on your left hand to me like I didn't know how to add 1 + 1 = 2.
Him and Barrett do that a lot.
Now I will tell you, tomorrow night, Tibbs is going to come up with a counter. The question is, what will JB's counter be? Now the one thing I will say this is, I'm a parent. It's different when you're a parent. You got little kids. You tell little kids because JB's father is Bernie Bickerstaff, long story coach in the NBA who knows this game, seen it all, played with coached some of the best. When I was in Seattle playing for Bernie, he'd tell JB who the ball boy, get over here, go get that. Now JB the adult. Bernie cannot call, because you believe me, Bernie called JB, but when you call as a parent now, it's like me with Cheyenne. I don't tell Cheyenne what to do now. I said, how you doing?
You're checking the temperature.
Yeah, what you think?
Yeah, what you think about that? What we got
what
going
about,
on?
Yeah, I give you nuggets in a way to make you think, right? And then I let you come to the conclusion. But as a parent, I'm leading you down a road here without saying, go down this road and open this door here, right? I love the things that they came back with game 2 was the adjustment was they did. This is how I knew Bernie was in his ear. Okoro got 2 minutes.
And 43 seconds.
Yeah, he got 2 minutes, and the only reason he got 2 minutes was he did not want to kill his confidence all the way.
Hey,
he got the start. He did this. I didn't embarrass you.
Missed a shot, got 2 fouls, come sit down.
And then I sit down. Now I'm going with this other guy. Because that was predetermined.
And I like what you said. Now here's the thing. I threw, I was being greedy. I was gonna slide that Karis LeVert comment in. They stopped me. Jason rebutted it. It's cool. I was seeing if I can get that off. But Karis LeVert,
he came to play.
When Karis LeVert comes to play, Karis LeVert has game that he does not care No, he ain't no respected person. Like if Karras,
What did he say? What did he say? What did you
He
say?
ain't no respected person. Like it don't matter.
Man, Karras, that ain't us talking. This is
Like no, that's
over
me.
here.
Karras don't like it could be Kyrie and LeBron. If he feeling it, he got that unorthodox dribble game. Karras, you can lay that ball up, but he be herky jerky. He be like, hold on, let me gyrate and then lay it up. Like Karras, when he hot, his jumpers start falling. All of a sudden, Karras start talking to himself.
He played more minutes than any other Cav.
That's
in game
crazy.
2. He was on the floor more than Donovan Mitchell.
Crazy.
He played 40 minutes.
Well, he played great though.
In game. He did. He earned every second he was on the floor.
Because this is what I want to throw on the floor. So we talk about this, right? That's great. We won the game. I told you the Knicks weren't going to be greedy enough to go for 2. I thought they weren't going to be greedy enough to go for 2.
It's hard. When you're the road team, you want 1.
Nah,
we saw it with the Lakers last night.
It's the mentality.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Well,
we saw it with the Lakers last night. They should be up 2-0 in that series.
But why did you think that?
Because Ja wasn't on the floor.
So why would they be up 2? Because who beside LeBron and AD would have all that dog in them to go get 2?
LeBron looked to me like he didn't even.
LeBron is 38, 39. I told you got a lot of miles on those tires.
Yes. But
and you know what's bad when old boy running by you talking stuff. I like the braided one. I was like, oh my God.
Are we? When you look at it as it moves to game 3, you said something, and I think that it's a possibility. Danny Green, he hit a 3. I'm counting the 3 who already stepped out on 2.
Yeah.
It's all
confidence. Oh, give him credit for that.
We're going to give him credit for that. It's all data, boys.
He turned in his homework late.
It's all
Partial
data,
credit.
boys. And he hit that one. I'm counting that one, too. It went in. He a veteran. That count for his soul. I'm looking at it like this. Just because they did not start Isaac Okoro in the second half and Karis LeVert started, is he thinking about Karis LeVert coming off the bench still because that's who he gives him the punch, or is it a Danny Green move to move him in the starting lineup?
I think Okoro is out of the lineup come Friday, right? And it's just, and I think that you leave LeVert coming off the bench, right? Because he has a feel for it, right? Starting is different. Danny Green not going to play a bunch of minutes, but he can give you enough. The other thing, you have to know this. I want you to be aware, everyone in town to be aware of this. When you walk into that Garden on Friday night, it is going to be electric. It is going to be everybody, every A-lister that's in New York City will be in the Garden that night. And I'm not sure, but said a handful of people on this team have ever seen an environment like that, Jason. It's going to be ratcheted up. Now, you can bring them back to the fold because the Knicks are used to taking blows, right? And you take a couple blows, the New York crowd goes, ooh. But if you don't stop it from the onset, it can get filthy.
I'm starting Danny Green at the 3 Friday, partly for what you just said. He's not going to be fazed by the environment. He's not going to be rattled by the crowd. Partly because they have a budget. The Cavs have a budget right now on shooting. They don't have enough. They need shooting.
Budget on shooting.
That's
a nice piece.
Say that again.
They don't. It is a luxury to start Karis LeVert alongside Donovan and Darius, and they can't afford that luxury right now.
Can't afford it.
They can't afford it.
The real estate costs too much.
And so to me, it comes down to Danny and Jetty.
You looking for cheap real estate?
I'm looking for cheap. Well, I'm looking for value.
See, I like this value.
I'm looking for rehab.
Cheap value. He says, I'm looking for value.
I'm looking for value. I'm looking for a rehab. A house I can rehab and flip. I can rehab Danny and flip him because he's and here's why I wouldn't start Jetty. Here's why I would not start Jetty. Jetty led the Cavs in shots in the first quarter the other night. Did you know that?
He was
6 shots.
He was pulling.
And like every time he touched it, it was going up. And I'm like, Mr. Jetty, I like you. That should be Darius' shot. Put it back in Darius' hands. Put it back in Donovan's hands.
It seemed like Jetty
was
takes
a little
everything
bit over,
literally.
He was a little over because he played so well in game 1, and he was a little he's taking shots in game 2 he didn't need to be taking.
You thought he was back in Turkey?
I'm not starting Jetty.
One of them assistants told him on the sneak, hey, don't let it fly, Jetty. Don't be afraid. Don't. And he was like, oh, no, I ain't.
Isaac needs to sit on the bench and flush this. He's not going to play. I don't think. I'd be shocked if he plays.
Might get some minutes, but they're minutes.
So you're down to 7, right?
They're minuscule minutes.
7, 8.
Well, but
minuscule minutes.
I would give those to Lamar Stevens for this one game because it's going to be. And I said yesterday on the radio.
2 games.
I said on the radio, you're only playing 7. They can only trust 7. But you can play 8 and trust 7.
Yeah.
And the 8th is Lamar, who gets those 6-7 minutes to me. But again, he's a non-shooter, and it's really hard to put non-shooters on the floor.
If he only plays 7, it's foolish. You're an 8-man rotation.
Well, he played 7 the other night.
Well, you got away. Every dog has
he got away with it a little bit because Karras went off.
Look, every dog has a day, right? Everybody gonna have one day. I'm saying in this counteraction on Friday, right? They're gonna force the tempo here. You're not gonna play 7 people on me, right? I'm gonna make some people work.
Is that the adjustment?
Listen, Tibbs. Listen, I know Tibbs. Tibbs gonna come in with a defensive adjustment. They're gonna put some heat on Donovan Mitchell. They're gonna put some heat on Garland. Like, you're not getting your money off on me today. I'm gonna make these other dudes who don't do nothing. And you got a 7-man rotation? Okay.
That's all you can trust.
Well,
who else on that roster can
you better
trust?
hope for another super performance.
Nobody.
I'm just saying, who else outside of those 7? And we're putting Danny Green as one of the guys you can trust. I mean,
well,
can you really? And I've been on the Green bandwagons since the day they got him. I thought that he would help them in the playoffs. Yeah. And when that first shot went down, I thought, okay, like he needed that, they needed that, everybody needed that. First shot went down, okay, we're good. He didn't kill them defensively. He wasn't as much of a negative as I feared he might be. It was only one game. He could be in the future.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all when we get back after this read what I'm scared of.
Great conversation, but as always, the 12 o'clock lunch hour is brought to you by Carlick Racing, Ultimate Cleveland's official NASCAR team. Before y'all continue, Brad, you're the big man on set. I'm the fan. Am I wrong for wanting more than 9 points from Jared Allen? Am I wrong for feeling like that he should be able to give us more than that?
Well, it all depends. Jared Allen's a guy that feeds off everyone else, right? And so when they're looking to be creative, the guards, Mitchell and Garland, get him involved, he can do that. They got tough matchups down there. Mitchell Robinson always coming at you. Evan has a matchup. We've already talked about that. His matchup, they're always coming at you. So they're going to be engaged. Their thing now is they're just trying to hold the fort now.
Yeah.
Right? Because you sit around here, Mitchell Robinson is doing what to Jared Allen? He's always around the rim. He's always banging him. There's not a playoff down there that Jared Allen is getting off here.
And by the way, there's the unintended consequences of having 2 rim protectors is that they both contest a lot of shots. They're just so good at not picking fouls.
Yeah, you lucky we're not getting in foul trouble because if you got in foul trouble, where are you going?
That's my point. Is they have no margins right now. One injury or one guy falls into foul trouble. Where are you going?
And we on the road. And I will tell you this. And to be honest with you, I'm just be on the record. I don't have the Cavs winning this game. I think I have the Cavs coming back in game 4 and evening it up, and that's what we're looking to get. Well, I will be over the top impressed with everybody, the coaching staff, as well as Garland and Mitchell in the starting 5, if they can go in there when it's going to be that crazy to win.
Well, let's put it in total context here. Of 2 games in New York, the game to get is game 3. Mm-hmm. Game 4 going to be tough. You lose 3, it's going to be tough to get 4 in New York. So this is the game. But somebody has to understand where you are here. And the other thing is, you're not going to run and hide. This not on NBA TV. It's not buried on TNT.
Matinee.
This matinee. This 8:30 p.m. on ABC for the world to see. So you wanted the showtime? You wanted to be top billing? Then guess what they gave you? And what? Here come the organ. It's going to be a classic.
Well, I was talking to some members of the organization, and one guy. No, let me go somewhere else. I was told outside of that, Damian Lillard's going to be courtside for these New York games. Now we'll see if that's true or not. And Dame and Donovan are close. Uh-huh. So I think Donovan's going to have one monster game in him. In New York, going home, playing in front of that crowd to the team where he thought he was going last summer.
Yeah.
I think there's
He's probably built for a monster game. But
I think there's one, and you better win that one.
Does the monster game get you over the hump, though?
That's what I'm saying. You better win that one.
I think
if he gives you a 40 ball or 50 ball, you better win that one.
Listen, I was going to say I see somewhere in the 50. And you can't. That's a shame. That's
You
crazy that I'm saying
like,
that.
You saying 50 like
I'm
25.
saying 50 like it's like
25.
12 points. Like that's how good he's been. That's how good he's been.
He's
this
done it
year.
before in the playoffs.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
has
There's
had
no
a 50.
question.
And I think the motivation, and I said I'm not calling a 50 game for him, but I think he's going to have one game in the Garden where he's in that 40, 45, 48, 50 range.
I tell you what, if he gives me a high 20, Garland gives me a mid 20, and Mobley gives me 18 to 20.
Oh, they won.
I got a chance.
That's how they're at their
best. That's
how,
a win. That's
right.
the whatever.
But the way to do that, G, you have to take the New York crowd out of this, right?
Yeah.
You got to survive the first 5-6 minutes, Jason.
Yeah.
You survive the first 5 or 6 minutes, right? That's what Memphis did last night to the Lakers. Lakers came out, hit them in the mouth.
You know how you
Memphis
get the,
came
you know,
back with like we right, even though it was in Memphis, stay right on them, catch a beat down. This is what it is.
You know how you win those first 5 minutes? Don't give the first shot to Isaac Okoro. He's taken the first. Cavs have won the tip both games. And Isaac Okoro took the first shot both games. And guess what? He missed them both.
Do you think Isaac Okoro will be there to take the first shot?
I don't think he'll be getting the first shot
Okay.
tomorrow night because I think he'll be
What's
getting
the over-under on that? What's the prop bet?
Listen, prop bet. Hey, they be having numbers I don't understand still. They be like -114. What does that mean? Like, what is that? I don't get it. Just say, is it probable or no? I'm confused. Like, I don't know it, man. Like, what I do know is that Darius Garland was one of the reasons they won that game. That was the old Darius Garland.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't it seem like that was the Garland we saw last year that controlled the game, pushed the
I don't know
he
I've
had
ever
the ball.
seen Darius guard like he did in game 2.
Darius Garland got the memo.
Yeah.
He got the memo after the game, after the first game, that he had not played well. He had deferred some shots, didn't look like himself. He got the memo. Right?
The memo was empty the clip.
Right.
That was
the memo.
That's it.
That was the memo.
That's it. And then when they wasn't nothing left, they just gave the pistol to him and they said, Jared Allen, you're gonna just whip him.
But
with
in the
this.
memo, the deal that you have to pick up in the memo is this. There's some self-reflection. You have to look in the mirror and have to admit that I did not deliver. I was not accounted. I was not here and accounted for. Right? So he came out and made sure he was accounted for. So you can bet your sweet bottom tomorrow. He is on the top of the scouting report tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they say he's not getting off like this. So I got to think that somebody going to get up into him tomorrow, right?
And you said something that was underrated. I thought Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland on the ball defense was excellent. Matter of fact, I used to always say the Cavs is posers. Like they got the #1 defense, but I can't tell. I could tell right there. That defense they play right there, if that translate and that travel, I mean, it was like in the second quarter, they got them up out of here. Like it was like Jared Allen found time to be nasty. He put old boy Jalen Brunson on his back and then helped him up. Like he was playing football. Like he was just Myles Garrett, just like pow. It was like, hey, you good, bro, down there? They kicked it back, hit a 3. Listen, I'm not saying that I'm like bloodthirsty, but when old boy had when they put old boy in the stands and he was just like, man, looking down, I said, oh, they got them today. They got them today. Because they was not playing. The guards was playing physical. Evan Mobley was down there with his sharp elbows. He was cutting people with the elbows. And then Jared Allen, I called you out, dog. I called you out. I said, listen, you can't not be about no Black Panther activity with that afro. You got one of the most perfect afros with the hair sheen and everything. You was down there being on some old California Black Panther stuff, bro. I like it. Now, I don't know how this is going to translate to New York because I'm going to tell you what. I don't, listen, I sent my headlines into Anthony. I don't have them winning that game. I don't have them winning game 3.
You know?
No. I got them winning game 4. Yeah, I feel it's gonna be a wave. It's a wave.
It's a Nick wave tomorrow.
It's a wave. Like, and here's the thing too.
Man, the New Yorkers get tough when you give them some juice. They like, oh my God,
Jason.
It's a tough environment.
Jason, they are not going to sniff a call. This is how they brought it. Like they are ready. The spike went there to game 2, right?
Oh, yeah?
He got home early, getting older. Old people, Brad be in the house at 5.
That's funny. I was in the house.
5 p.m.
Somebody told me yesterday, I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. Young nurse said, you know what she said? You look good for 60. I didn't know how to take that. Like,
this is 60? Crazy.
I'm like, what?
You know what's nuts,
what
man?
What are you talking about? You talking to me?
I was putting.
Can't be talking to me.
This old lady. It was an older white
old lady now.
She was about 97.
Jason, help me.
She was about 97, Jason, and she said, "Young man, could you help me get that off that top shelf?" I was like, "Hey, I will help you." I got all these. She wanted some napkins or something. I got them down, gave them to her, whatever. She like, "Thank you so much. You're so nice. You helped the old lady." She said, "And I do want to say something to you." I do want to say,
here it comes.
You are a very handsome colored man. I couldn't even be mad at the lady. I said the lady was born in the teens, bro.
South Carolina.
The lady was born. Listen, she about 100 years old. I'm glad she was out there. I said, you know what? I said, you know what? Thank you, ma'am. I couldn't even say, bless her little heart. Bless her heart.
Bless her heart.
She didn't mean nothing by that. She didn't mean nothing by that.
She didn't mean no trouble by that.
Wait, true story. This morning, I stopped at the gas station to get some
colored.
coffee. I came out on smiling and everything, and this older lady, she says, "Excuse me, young man." She says, "Can I just touch your hair?" And I looked at her because I thought that was a little.
Did you let her get that off?
I can't ask you to touch your hair, but you would have asked me to touch mine.
Earl, Jason is sinking in his seat over here. I'm like, these are the things that happen to us out here.
Earl, did you let her get that? Did you let her get her money off?
No, I ain't let her get her money off.
Come on,
hey, Jason,
man.
it's
You
the
get some
truth,
more
though.
Touch
your hair.
Go ahead, touch.
Go ahead. Get your money off.
Go get your money off.
Hey, you tell your people.
Can I touch your hair after the show? Is that all right?
Hell no.
Jason is sinking in his seat.
You're like this man. Hey, if I would have seen that, Earl, oh my gosh, I would have had to roll up on you, April.
Man. Hey, here you go. Before we go, I know we're bringing a guest in here shortly, but I want to tell you this. What kind of A-listers you think you're going to see tomorrow?
Oh, who there?
Oh, all of them.
Who was that?
Dame. I think Dame will be there.
Is Jay-Z going to be in the building?
Yes.
You see, yes.
He's like,
yes. I think you might see A$AP Rocky, maybe Rihanna. Spike is there. Right. I think you might get some Denzel Washington might be in the building.
Denzel's an LA guy.
He's an LA guy.
But he keeps that black Yankee hat on. But listen, I don't think he has to have multiple ones of those. He wears the same fit.
Denzel sits in the media room during Lakers games and watches the game from the media room.
Does he?
Yeah.
You lying?
Yeah, I've seen him. I mean, when I was on the beat, I saw him in there 3 or 4 times.
So you got
just eating popcorn, like sit at the table and like eating popcorn.
Garner.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner might be there.
That's what kind of A-listers you're gonna see tomorrow, right?
Oh,
because this is it. Because they've been thirsty to try to get to be. When the last time the Knicks had a prime time playoff game on TV?
I'm sure 2 years ago they did. I don't know the schedule, but I'm sure.
Yeah, like when they played the Hawks.
But it ain't very often.
It ain't. Now how? I want to gauge this because y'all national dudes. Let's gauge this. Yeah. When you talk about Donovan Mitchell, there's. Say if we going on celebrities. So we're going on celebrities.
Okay.
Is Donovan Mitchell an A-list celebrity or B-list celebrity in terms of what the NBA is? Because here's the thing. I would say this is a coming out party, but do people already know who Donovan Mitchell is like that?
I mean, if we're being honest, to me, he's a B-list celebrity because he's been in Salt Lake City and Cleveland. If he played in New York, maybe he is looked at as an A-list celebrity, but he's probably on the B tier in terms of NBA star power.
I would probably say the same.
Yeah.
Like especially being a guard, like because you're
a creature of your environment. Now, if he had been in New York, then you're elevating status, right? Unless you're doing so much work. I'll give you a case in point. Reggie Miller was in Indianapolis, right, for the Pacers, and look what he has turned that run to the Pacers into.
That's crazy.
That's how you become.
And he was an A-lister. He was an A-lister in Indiana.
Yeah, but it took performance. And winning
and finals appearances
to get you to be an A-lister.
Yeah, right? It's hard to be an A-lister.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
Go ahead.
All right, man, we got one of the Cavaliers legends, World B. Free, waiting. But before we bring him in, as always, we ask the internet. And the question of the day, every time we ask the internet is about PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils are our lead manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. And all locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Whitcliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 an hour. Plus, you get full benefits, paid time off, and sign-up bonus. Apply at precast.com/careers to learn more. Our question of the day was, does Evan Mobley need to have an offensive explosion in Game 3? We had 330 votes. 61% said yes, 39% said no. And as always, our 12 o'clock hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to you by Corlick Racing. And then right now, we welcome in Cavaliers legend, World B. Free.
My
Hello,
man,
how's everybody?
There he is, World.
How's everybody?
What's up, World?
Good.
Hey, doing good.
Look, man,
How you guys?
I'm doing well. We're gonna shoot the stuff about the Cavs today, but I gotta run you back some days. Now, I used to be a Sixers to my team back in the day when I was a kid. I'm gonna throw some names out. They ain't gonna know what I'm talking about. World, what about the Bomb Squad?
Yeah, that was a real deal right there. You know what I mean?
Real deal. World was the first one. Correct me if I'm wrong, World. You was wearing ponies,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Me and
Pony
Darryl
shoes.
Dawkins.
Wow. Oh yeah. World to come off the bench in Philly. You, Jelly Bean. Who else was on that secondary crew?
We had Darryl Dawkins and Steve Mix, Cornel Norman, Harvey Catchings, basically were the guys coming up for that bomb squad.
Yeah, that bomb
But
squad was the
that
secondary
whole
crew
team
that came
was-
in Philly and just lit it up for the Sixers. Because your starting five was Doc, McGinnis, Cheeks,
And the Caldwell Jones, and Henry Bibby and Doug Collins.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you. Educate us, because when I was coming up, my dad used to always, talk about World Be Free, and I would be like, man, I would think like he was playing around. Like I say, they ain't nobody's name. What you keep saying that for? And as I did my research and I got older, I'm like, man, that was true. That was a real name. I thought he was just playing. Tell all the young dudes out there that came up in this generations past, how did you get that nickname? How did that stick for you? Because that's one of the coldest names of all time in sports. Like, I don't know if you know that.
Well, thank you for that. But it happened from I'm from New York, from Brooklyn, and it basically happened for doing 360 slam dunks, because I had a 44-inch vertical leap off the ground, so I can get up over the cross on that backboard. At least my a full handprint can go over the top of that. And in the playgrounds, I used to do 360 slam dunks. And it was always a person out there who nicknamed guys who they thought that had a chance to get out of the hood. And they gave me a nickname. They started with calling me like Kangaroo. They started calling me all different type names. And then they said World. They started yelling out World, because every time I go to the basket, I would jump up, but I would do a complete 360 spin on you and dunk it on you. And it was like crazy back then, just to go ahead and do those kind of things. So we were having fun in the playground, and that's how the name stuck with me. But my real biological given name is Lloyd Bartholomew Free.
Yeah. So
I couldn't put the Bartholomew Free on back on my jersey because too many letters. So I couldn't get through there. So I shaved it off and changed that Lloyd into World. Right. And the B, everything was my father's biological given name. And I told everybody, I said, if I ever made the pros or anything, that was successful in my life, I wish the world could be free one day.
Hey, World, let me ask you a question.
Yes,
How
sir.
was Darryl Dawkins? Because he came straight out of high school when he joined the Sixers. What kind of talent did he have?
Yeah, we were rookies together. Darryl Dawkins was what you called a gentle giant, but when he wanted to be a monster, he could have done that. He was one of those guys that had unbelievable talent. He could shoot for a big man. He could dribble a basketball. He basically could control whatever he want to control out there on that basketball floor underneath that basket, or at least 15 feet foul line area. He would dog you on it if you really let him. But he just was the type guy that he could have you down, but he didn't want to put the foot on your mouth. And see, and I always used to tell him, I'm like, yo, Daryl, you too big, man. You should go ahead and destroy people. You know what I mean? I said, if I had your height, that's what I would do. You know what I mean? I would go ahead in it. So me and him used to play one-on-one together. And he used to watch my little ass just go to the basket. And on him playing one-on-one, you know what I mean? He like, hey, man, this guy, he didn't go into the basket. Wait a minute. I got to go ahead and do this kind of stuff myself. So, you know, and me and him we were best friends. And still, you know, I know he passed, but still to this day, you know, I love him like a brother.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Were you there, World, the day? I can't remember. Were you there when Maurice Lucas and Daryl Dawkins squared off in the finals?
Yeah. We was in that. I was in that championship round, and it was crazy because when it happened, I had broke ribs and collapsed lung, right? And me and Daryl, like I said, we're tight. And when the fight happened, you know, I ran out there on the floor and I seen, you know, the commotion, everything going, and Daryl in the middle of the floor, you know, weaving and bobbing. Yeah, I ain't see a punch though, but you know what I mean. They're weaving and bobbing.
They was weaving and bobbing.
They look good. I gave 10s on that, you know. And then next thing you know, Doug Collins tried to run. All of a sudden, some punch got thrown, and Doug got hit. He got hit running away. You know what I'm saying? and we had. I remember that. Then Daryl Dawkins' brothers. Daryl Dawkins have these big brothers though. His brothers were like, you know, like him, but not as tall, but they was huge. They coming out the stands and everything. And I remember Gene Shue telling me to go in the locker room to quiet this man down. Because Daryl, you know, they kicked him out the game, send him to the locker room, and we best friends. So Gene tells me, because the security saying Daryl's in the locker room, tearing the locker room up, you know. And so Gene says, that's the coach, Gene Shue. He said, "World, go ahead back there and talk to him." So I go back there and I hear stuff just like being thrown around. So I open the locker room door. I just looks inside there like, I don't know if I want to go in there. You know what I mean? Man, I went in there. Everything was all upside down, man. I calmed it down. He was good.
Them were the good days, man. The good days. Good.
Oh, man. Tell me about it.
Yes, it was.
Tell me about it.
World, the days when you came to Cleveland were not so good. You came here at about the low point of basketball in Cleveland. When did you get here? 82, 83? You got traded here? Is that right?
Yes.
What was that like?
For Ron Brewer.
What's your best Ted Stepien 80s Cavs story at the Richfield Coliseum?
Well, see, when I got there, Ted Stepien, he wasn't there.
Oh, he was gone.
Yeah, he was going that year. That same year that I came in, he left out, and they had Harry Weltman.
Yeah, Harry Weltman.
Okay.
Yeah, Harry Weltman.
How many people were at those games?
About as many sitting in your studio right there.
I don't know if you remember this. I talked to you. I wrote a book after the Cavs won a championship, and I talked to you in Philly, and you said like you could hear the basketballs bounce. There's like 1,000 people in there, and that like you could hear the individual hecklers. You could hear the beer guy. Like it was a funeral at those games.
Yeah, it was. It was one of those things too that you know, and I always tell people, you know, who really didn't see or know what that was about. I said it was a thing that franchise was getting ready to be sold. It was getting ready to go underneath, and I remember when they told me Bernard King, because he was on my team with Golden State when I got traded, and he basically was like, "Well, World, wow, it's like, you know, you going to the end." You know, and I'm like, nah, Bernard, I'm gonna make this work. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get out there and give it all I got. What I got left, I'm gonna make this work. You know, and so I remember coming to the airport and the reporter telling me like, "Hey, how you doing, World?" You know, I said, "Yeah, hello." You know, and he said, "Well, you know, are you happy about the trade?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm all right." You know, like that. Still positive feedback. And then he says to me, he said, "You know, they only won like 3 games or something, you know, last year and the years before." I say, "Well, look, if they won 3 games, they're going to win 5 games because I'm going to give them 2 more." You know what I mean? Like that.
Hey, World, We got, before my man Earl, our producer, wants to ask us a question. I got a question. You know, they talk about the NBA, but you know, you from New York, which is the Mecca, and New York is known for their playground basketball players and just street legends.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you played against any of these guys, but I'm gonna just ask you a couple of names, and if you could give me a couple of stories. Do you have any stories about Pee Wee Kirkland, James Fly Williams, or Herman Helicopter?
I got Fly Williams. I got Herman Helicopter, but I didn't play with Herman Helicopter because I was too young at that time to get on the court with those guys. But Herman Helicopter, I remember him. We was in this park called West 4th Street, and Herman Helicopter is about 6'6", 6'7", and I remember Willis Reed coming to the park, you know, and Willis Reed faked Herman Helicopter because Herman Helicopter could touch the top of the backboard. You know what I mean? One of those kind of guys. Couldn't shoot or nothing, but he could jump. But Willis Reed went to fake him and went up for one of the long lob kind of shot, but the shot was like all the way up there by the top of the backboard. Herman Helicopter grabbed that thing out the air. Boom! The crowd went crazy. You know what I mean? Crazy. Yeah, you know what I mean? So Willis like looking at this guy. The next thing you know, it was the end for him, though, after that. He should have never done that. He should have never grabbed Willis Reed. He punished him. Punished him. And now this James Fly Williams, my era. Right. Now, James Fly Williams, to this day, one of the baddest basketball players that I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, wow.
They say he used to drop 50. They said he was getting 50 all the time.
That's halftime talking.
Oh.
That's halftime talking. You know what I'm saying? But this guy was so good. I mean, like, he's 6'6", can handle both ways, had the in-between game, had the outside game. He could do it all. He could defense you. You know, he could do it all. He just couldn't control himself. But he was one of the best. And I told this to guys in the league. I said, man, y'all talk about it, all these guys in the league. But I said, look, I'm playing against you guys in the league. Mm-hmm. This guy can be right here, right up to the top.
Hey, World.
All of you guys in the league.
World, I know. So you following the Cavaliers. What do you think about our chances in New York on Friday here?
Well, technically, I think you got good chances. You know what I mean? I think the big fellas are starting to come around. You know what I mean? And that's what you need because your guards look like they're going to do their job. And you got some great guards there. And, you know, that wing, get that wing going a little bit. You know, some outside shots. You know, I believe y'all guys got a great chance.
What are they saying in New York about it? What do you think the pressure is on the Knicks here?
What are they saying in New York?
Yeah, the pressure on the Knicks.
I'm not in New York. I'm in Philly now.
I know you're on the East Coast swing, right?
Yeah.
You know, because you know about New York, the pressure that the Knicks have to be always considered one of the favorite teams in this league, right? They have stumbled along the way for a little while here, right? You think there's going to be a lot of pressure coming into the Garden on Friday?
Yes, it is. You know, it's going to be more pressure on the Knicks than it will be Cleveland. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, all that pressure with all those people, you know what I mean, going to be in there. It's on national TV, you know, and a lot of times, you know, but, you know, they have a good team. I'm not going to take nothing away from them. But the thing is, you know, Cleveland, I'm a little biased because, you know, I am on the wall of honor out there, too.
Right, no question.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, I ain't throwing no stones. I'm just saying what it is. You know what I mean? And I'm pulling for Cleveland to go ahead and knock them out the box.
World, our producer Earl had a question for you.
Yes,
Mr. Free, it's a pleasure to meet you. So my real name is Earl. My nickname is Earl of Pearl, and my grandfather used to always try to school me on the original Earl of Pearl. He said his nickname was Jesus because he walked on water when he was on the basketball court. Was Earl of Pearl really that dude?
Well, I never seen him walk on water, but only one person walked on water.
Blasphemous.
Yeah, blasphemous. That's a good one. I like that. No rocks at that man who said that. But anyway, Earl of Pearl, I didn't get to see his whole career, but I got to see him play, and I played against him for like my first 3 years was his last 3 years in the league, so he was declining. But, he still had some stuff with him. But his moves was like unbelievable, too. I mean, he didn't jump off the ground with this high.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't slide a Sunday news underneath his shoes. But I tell you one thing, he'd get 40 on you in a minute. Just drop it on you. And he's cool. He was cool with it.
See, World, what happens is, when you anything past, if you was in high school anywhere in the 70s, people in my generation, we feel you played with Dr. J, you played with Havlicek, you played with Bill Russell. We think you played with Chamberlain. I be telling OG over here, I say, hey, Brad, man. Hey, man, what was it like, man, out there playing with old you played with Bird and you played with Havlicek. And what is Red Auerbach? He met Red Auerbach. I think he know everybody. It's crazy, bro.
Well, when you get tagged, man, that's it. Game over.
Hey, your boy Phil Hubbard told me to tell you hello.
I tell you one thing about Phil Hubbard. Now that was what you call a competitor. You know what I mean? He was a competitor. With that team, when we finally made the playoffs, and brought that city back to life. And I knew when I seen that happen, that city was going. It's electric. It's electric. And now they got it all back. LeBron bought the championship, the whole 9 yards. It's electric. And I love every bit of what's going on there. Phil Hubbard and Lonnie Shelton, and those guys, John Bagley, who played with that group that brought us back to where Cleveland needed to be, just to keep the franchise there. Everybody gets a pat on the back. You know what I mean? Because that was war. It was war but people just don't understand that. It's only one thing I really regret about Cleveland. They never wanted to put my jersey up in them stands in the Raptors. Only problem I got with Cleveland.
Well, listen, we're going to see if we can get that done. Hey, stop playing around. Put them Raptors up there. Right. If they put Kyrie up there, they got to put you back up there.
No question. Because this man here carried the franchise, but it was struggling.
I'll tell you what, World, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to talk to you. Great meeting you. And we'll definitely work on getting that jersey in the Raptors for you, man.
That sounds good to me. I like to see while I'm on top of the earth.
All right, no question. No question. We're going to work on it, World.
All right, we appreciate you. Have a great rest of your weekend. Go Cavs.
Okay.
Thanks, World.
Go Cavs. Thank you. Okay.
Before we throw it back, you know where Phil Hubbard from.
Canton, McKinley.
You know where he at. Give me that microphone. Listen, see what y'all talk. Don't disrespect McKinley basketball. Gary Grant. You know what it is coming out of there, McKinley. All-time winningest basketball program in the history of Division I. You didn't know that. See, we do both. We got athletes there. Don't play with us. Don't play with the name. There you go, Earl. Take that, man.
And also, you know what it is, too, man. It's the 12 o'clock hour, which means the 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Carlick Racing, Cleveland Sports Show official NASCAR team. So we got a couple tag boards here. The first one has some sound. We about to get into this whole thing with Dylan Brooks and LeBron James last night. Man. Dylan Brooks said basically he ain't got no respect for nobody until he dropped 40 on him. So we're going to take this tag.
Another nonsensical
this
comment.
Guy.
And when they started making a run.
There are some people, the Lakers are making that run. They get it to 14. You and LeBron have that exchange. There are people out there that say maybe you shouldn't do that with one of the better players in the game. What were you thinking?
I don't care. He's old. You know what I mean? I was waiting for that. I was expecting him to do that game 4, game 5. He wanted to say something when I got my 4th foul. He should have been saying that earlier on. But, I poke bears. I don't respect no one until they come and give me 40. I pride myself on, what I do is defense and taking on any challenge that's on the board. And when they start making a run.
All right.
Some people.
Okay.
That's a quotable though. I'm gonna steal that from. I don't respect nobody till they go come.
Well, first of all, let's cut the games. First of all, we can't listen to you and respect what you're talking about. You looking like Bootsy Collins in glasses, right? That's first of all.
Hey.
Secondly, when you had a chance, when Shannon Sharp was sidelined, I ain't see you walking towards Shannon Sharp.
No smoke.
Because he said you don't want no smoke.
No smoke. Look, bro, I told him he better not never go to prison. You got to cut that hair. He's going to be a treat in there. You know, stop playing. He's going to be a snack.
You know what Dylan Brooks' career high is? 37. He ain't never got a 40.
So he don't even
never had a 40.
himself.
So you respect
He ain't never had a 40.
Look,
so.
He went to the statistical data. He's like, you don't even respect your.
You know, Jason
You have
Lloyd.
no respect for yourself, young man.
Jason-
You never had a 40 ball.
Hey, LeBron called Jason Lloyd, handle this.
No, you don't need me to handle it. He's going to handle it. I'll tell you what.
I saw it last night. I said, this is comical.
This guy.
Stop the comedy.
Dylan Brooks, Lance Stevenson, the idiot in Washington, Deshaun Stevenson, like they're all the same guy.
Same dude.
It's all like they all come for him. You go ahead and poke the bear. I don't care how old the bear is. Bear's gonna eat you.
Hey, like it's funny, man. Like, so the defensive stop. You know, like in the league, you gotta market yourself, right?
Well, LeBron gonna probably get 40 next year. That's what I gotta watch the Lakers game.
The defensive stopper is always strange. Like the Ron Artest of the world. Like if you can't do nothing but play defense, they like, all right, here's the playbook.
But he ain't even Ron Artest.
No, he's not Artest.
No.
He's trying to work his way into it. He's like,
He
I'm gonna
can't work his way into it.
He's Lance Stevenson.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
He's Lance Stevenson with longer hair.
Listen, I sat there
And
in
Bootsy Collins
2016.
sunglasses.
Wow.
I sat there in 2016 at the
White
Warriors
ones.
practice facility. Warriors are up 3-1, and they're feeling themselves. Like, they're feeling really good. And Draymond gets suspended.
Klay Thompson was
Klay
talking back
Thompson
then,
struts
too.
up to the podium and
Klay
says,
Thompson.
this is a man's league. And the other idiot who was here for Maurice, what was his name?
Oh, with the knot in his head.
He put a
Maurice Spates.
Yes, he tweeted a emoji of a baby bottle, and I'm like, what are you people doing? Like, you talk about poking the bear. They opened the tiger's cage and they tied raw meat to themselves. And LeBron got up on the podium and Bill Livingston, and it was funny because I remember LeBron. There was like there was a changeover, and the Cavs are there, and LeBron's sitting on the court. He's sitting on the floor and he's just dribbling. He's wearing sunglasses and he's just dribbling. And Klay had already said what he said. And I'm standing there talking to him, and I said, you know what? Like, I'm not going to say anything to him because I want the visceral reaction on the podium. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask him, but Bill beat me to it. So we get up on the podium, and Bill says, like, well, Klay said this is a man's league. And I should have told you guys to pull the clip because it's just great for memories. And LeBron goes, hold up. Klay said what? And Bill said, like, he said this is a man's league. And LeBron, like, lost his mind and said, it's so hard to take the high road. It's so hard. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. Like, he pulled himself back in. And I'm sure when he saw that clip of that dummy today saying that about poking the bear and everything else.
Shout out to him. He understands. Shout
out to who?
I'm a marketer. I market. You're gonna find my fat face everywhere. You might not like G. Bush. You may think I'm overrated, but you ain't got no choice to see me because I just keep showing up places. Dylan Brooks has made himself a name. He pulled up on Shannon Sharp. That went viral. Now he knows exactly what's gonna happen. And here's the thing about him. He knows he's going back to L.A. He knows what kind of smoke may be waiting for him. He's amping himself up to get himself hyped to be like.
So let me ask you a question.
He might give 50.
I get what you're saying, but why would you bring smoke on the rest of your crew? That's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Because he believes. I think he.
But the problem is
he believes. He think he's too old to get that.
What he may believe may be detrimental to the rest of the body politic, right?
Jason,
I promise you, Grizzlies coach Chris Jenkins, right? He's not happy.
He's a bread and butter guy.
He's not happy.
He is a breader, and you said it before. A lot of people was thinking the exact same thing we was thinking. We had this conversation last year or this summer.
What was it?
Jason was like, I think he might just be in family mode. I don't think he's competing for championships no more. I don't know if he got it in him. And a lot of people, not just Jason, thought that. People around the league was like, all right,
he's doing more commercials than he's ever done.
And so he looking like, oh, he's soft. He ain't got it no more.
Right.
He gonna figure it out. When they get back to LA, it's going to be a different type of time.
Oh, yeah.
That type of time, that look that he was giving the Celtics. Remember that game? It was a closeout game with the Celtics, and Paul Pierce was talking, and when he was with the Heat, and he just went. I said, bro, this dude looked like he turned into an assassin out there.
Earl, you got the clip in 2016?
Take that, Steve. This is hilarious.
Take that.
Clay said, I guess he just got his feelings hurt.
Oh, my goodness.
I believe the transcript will support that.
I'm not going to comment on what Clay said because I know where it can go from this sit-in. It's so hard to take the high road. I've been doing it for 13 years. It's so hard.
Clay said,
it cut it off. But, yeah, and that's where the Warriors lost the series. Like, right there. That absolutely played a role, a small role. That played a role, and then cost them the series.
He don't understand. He might not. And then that's the crazy part about it. He just said, no, he's old. Like, the dude got 30 a game. Like, I'm confused what he's doing here. Was that your plan? Your plan should not have been to say, go max effort. See,
the ignorance of youth.
Hey,
very much so.
That's Super Saiyan.
Very much so.
This is Super Saiyan. This Super Saiyan God level. This Super Saiyan level, like this 4. You talk about, he can't do it no more. Listen, he gonna get y'all. He caught the Celtics like that. He caught them in 2018. He caught him and Tatum and Jalen Brown. He caught them same way in 2018. Controlled the whole game.
This is comical. Dylan Brooks is from Canada, right? That is. I didn't know they had.
He came in on Drake's wave.
Yeah. I don't know why they're so feisty. I didn't know they were so feisty up there.
I'm renaming him Dylan Stevenson because he's just another Lance Stevenson, another Deshaun Stevenson.
Hey,
he's Dylan Stevenson for the rest of the Grizzlies' short-lived postseason lives that they've got, because it's got about a week left and they're out of here.
Hey, listen, he
not if AD don't show up.
Lakers winning the series.
Yeah, Lakers win.
I thought that long before last night.
Yeah, Lakers win the series, and you better be a law-abiding citizen. You listen. You behave. Don't be jaywalking. Pay your taxes. You better not never step foot nowhere. You're way too pretty. You can't be thugged out like that. You had white glasses on with the Pocahontas joints down, and your baby hairs was out, bro. This is crazy. You look like Ashanti. You got the baby hairs. You look like he's a dime piece, bro. He timed out. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you tough? Just stop it, man. I like you though. You market yourself. You trying to get that extra contract.
I just remember
he marketed himself.
Shannon Sharp was over there like, "Come on over here."
He didn't want to
come here.
He want
That's what he said. You pull that clip. Come here. Come to me.
Come hither.
Yeah, he did.
Come hither.
He was walking to the locker room. I saw it.
3 minutes, 2 minutes. We got some final takes. No takes.
I ain't got a final take. I got a final vent.
Go for it.
This is, I have one of these pet peeves, right?
What?
I cannot stand people who drive on the freeway that's afraid of the freeway. I don't think they realize going 55, 60, you're going to cause an accident quicker than people who drive like me and Jason. You know, then
I'm sitting minding my own business.
Y'all the same cat now?
He's catching strays over here.
Then it's the people who get in the absolute fast lane and slow down. Listen, I promise you, there's a connecting street everywhere in America. If you don't like driving on the freeway, don't drive the freeway. Take the streets.
Well,
that's all I got.
Earl, you talking about pet peeves? We'll close it out with talking about pet peeves. You know one of my pet peeves?
Go for it.
Said that. When I'm pulling into the shopping plaza, right, and if people are driving between, you should be riding up between the aisles, right, to find your parking space. Well, there's not a lot of cars there, so people just start cutting through the middle of that bothers me. I mean, if I'm on the phone with someone, they know it bothers me. I'm like, you're not following the rules here. What is the deal? You can't go down and let that Jason, that bothers me.
I'm a bad person. I be putting carts by people's cars. Like, if I can't get over there to, like, put it in the cart, I'll be sliding it right in between. And then I leave. Like it'd be kind of close. It don't hit. It just be close. It'd be like right there. Like
you don't know if it hit or not.
It'd be there. Like I'm like. By the way, no. Here's the thing too.
What's your pet peeve?
Oh, my pet peeve is Walmart. Y'all just ridiculous, bro. I see. I'm gonna start going to Target. If I make $5 more a month, I'm going to Target from now on. I'm gonna be bougie. I'm not going back to Walmart because y'all dirty. Y'all got 65 lines and you number them 1 to 65, and then have 2 registers open. It's everybody they mom in 2 registers. And by the way, too. Don't let somebody ahead of you. If I got a loaf of bread, bro, don't be making me hang behind you. You got a cart full of meat. You got a cart full of meat and toys and all kind of other stuff. I got 1 loaf of bread. You could let me in here, but you want to be dirty. You don't want to share. I will let you in there. I'm just back there the whole time.
He's probably mad because you left the cart by his car. I saw you the last time.
That's that big guy who leaves carts by his cars.
Jason, we got 30 seconds. You got a pet peeve?
I don't have a pet peeve. Shout out to the state trooper who let me go on the way home.
Here he is. Here he is.
I had the family in the car driving home from Columbus, doing 85 in a minivan.
There he is.
Privilege. We gotta go.